Experts have 3 free transfers going into FPL Game Week 10, and there's a focus this week on the best budget players across each position. Help me get this one to 500 likes and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. This week then, I've asked the experts for their best player pick in each position priced at 6 million or under. Starting off with defenders, and given that there's so many options in that 4.5 million to 6 million bracket, it's really important to note that Rayan Aït-Nouri, the massive favourite here, 58% of the vote going for him as the best defender in the game right now, and he could make a mockery of his price tag. He has had a couple of rises in the last week, but the fact that he's preferred to, the players that are 5.5 and 6 million is really prevalent here. A very mixed bag in the rest of the votes away from Aït-Nouri, perhaps put off by the fact that he is one yellow card off a suspension, with votes for Robertson, Davis, Lewis, Porro and Robinson in there. Moving on to have a look at the best budget midfielders, and despite a blank last time out, the experts still believe Rodgers to be the best midfielder priced under 6 million. He's ahead of Dwight McNeil and Antoine Semenyo with 25% and 17% of the vote respectively. A tough fixture for Rodgers this week away at Spurs. Although Spurs aren't keeping clean sheets, I think we can still be persistent with him. He's a great route into the Aston Villa attack when you compare his price tag to the likes of Ollie Watkins, and they are a team that will continue to score goals. Into the forward line then, and it does feel like there's so many options. Obviously, looking at 6 million or under, Chris Wood is out of the equation for this one this week, and it felt like a 2-horse race between Yohan Wissa and Raul Jimenez, but it is Yohan Wissa who just edges it, perhaps with the better fixtures. It feels like Mbeumo is very template now in the game, and I mentioned in my form versus fixtures video that Brentford are a team that we must be invested in from an attacking perspective, and while many own Mbeumo, if you bring in Wissa as well, then that's your differential to really reap the points when they go mad with their attacking returns. Here's the overall standings then of the Experts League, and some interesting changes this week with FPL Zlatan jumping up to first place, 76 points in game week 9. That was helped by Bryan Mbeumo being his captain with a huge 30 points. That bumps FPL Tips YouTube account down into second place, outside of the top 10k now as well, with another huge rank rise from FPL Updates and Tips, who played the triple captainship on Haaland this week. Mahmoud was first last time out. He drops to 4th with a tough 44 points. A real mixed bag in the points this week. And we also see FPL Graduates Ben back into the top 10 for the first time in a while. The community team in 63rd place, by the way, despite a decent score in game week 9, 503 points overall. Let me know in the comments whether you're beating the community team, and also if you could make your way into this top 10 with your current FPL points. As I mentioned then, 64 points for the Experts team in game week 9. Luckily, no points on the bench, and we made the right decision playing Flecken over Raya this week. A clean sheet from Lewis. That's the first Manchester City clean sheet since game week 1, so that 6 points was gratefully received. And then 3 double-digit hauls in the front 7 with Mbeumo with that brace, Palmer with a goal for a 10-pointer, and Chris Wood with a brace. There were blanks from Johnson, Rodgers and Calvert-Lewin, who is probably skating on thin ice in the experts' minds now, and it was disappointing to only get that 12-point return from Erling Haaland. Speaking of Haaland then, 17% of the experts were considering selling Haaland this week. I expect that number to gradually rise over the next few weeks, so it's probably a move that we are going to make at some point with 3 free transfers, 0.3 million in the bank. But the most popular moves, and there was very little to split between them, a third of the experts voting to roll, a third keen to sell Gabriel, and a third also keen to sell Calvert-Lewin. 1 free transfer seemed like just about the most popular route, but plenty prepared to use 2-3 transfers to change up the team this week. In terms of the players coming in then, no surprise to see that the 17% trying to sell Haaland were looking to bring in Mo Salah in the midfield to replace him. The like-for-like replacements, I think the voting on the best budget picks kind of speaks for itself here. A third looking to go for that move from Gabriel to Aït-Nouri, and the third also looking to make the move from Calvert-Lewin to this week. I've actually had to put this transfer plans to a poll on YouTube because the experts were failing to come up with a definitive route for transfers. So let's see how things shape up for game week 10. Now, it is David Raya back in between the sticks this week for the trip to Newcastle, with Fleck and bench for the trip to Fulham. Obviously, no clean sheets this season for Brentford makes it very difficult to ever justify playing him over Raya. Into the defence then, and Gabriel does keep his place, but he is on the bench along with Greaves, 2 injured players on the bench. Gabriel could still play in game week 10. But we could be a little bit thin on the ground here. But we do have favourable fixtures for the 3 defenders we are starting. Trent's got Brighton at home, Porro's got Villa at home, and Lewis has got Bournemouth away. Types of fixtures that, you know, these players that are more than capable of attacking returns could end up with a double-digit haul if they manage to keep a clean sheet as well. Moving into the midfield then, and no changes here. Some favourable fixtures though, and Burmo away at Fulham. We've got Johnson and Rodgers who play each other on Sunday, with Cole Palmer travelling to Manchester United. 4 goals in 2 against them in a Chelsea shirt, but Manchester United do have that new manager bounce, which we saw on display in the Carabao Cup this midweek. So it is the forward line where we do see a transfer. Wissa comes in for Calvert-Lewin for the trip to Fulham, doubled up now on the Brentford attack for that fixture. We've also got Chris Wood at home to West Ham, a decent fixture for him, you would think, and Haaland away at Bournemouth. Now, I thought that the votes would be quite interesting on captaincy this week. Palmer only with 8% of the votes, 17%. The ones that had chosen to do Haaland to Salah this week would have given Salah the armband. That's significant. Salah is probably the standout captain pick this week, but of those players remaining, it was Haaland the overwhelming favourite. So he does keep the armband for the trip to Bournemouth, with Palmer getting the vice captaincy. Let me know in the comments then if you're doing better than this experts team. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notify button, because tomorrow at 12:30 I will be going live for the press conference stream, and if you've got as many flags in your team as I have, you won't want to miss that one. Some very important injury updates across the board. Thank you for watching.